Good day. My name is Peter Jordan, and I'm back again, this time to talk about boundaries. And again, we welcome Chanel. Chanel, thank you so much. And thank you for the discussion that we were having just prior to this about boundaries. And oh my word, how important boundaries are, and what are boundaries, and how for you to use it, and how it is so easy that you lose your power on this thing, okay? Because remember, you guys have got this clear sentience. And this clear sentience is you feeling everybody else around you. And part of the clear sentience is this little trigger in you is that I need to please others. I need to have them be happy around me. No, you don't. You are not responsible for anybody else, them and their feelings. And however they are feeling or whatever reaction they are having, it's their trigger in them, and it's for them to manage them and not you to manage them. This is a big thing to learn. And this is a hard thing, okay? Because it is now you're just starting to become aware of this is you, this is your power, this is your clear sentience, this is, and we still are going to come on in the videos after this, we're going to talk about your feelings and your reactions on feelings and so on. And then you're going to say, wow, there's so much to learn. Yes, there is. There is a lot to learn, but it is that, you know, you can do this because you would never have allowed this to happen to you if you didn't have the inner strength in you to manage this. The very fact that you are at this stage and you've been through everything up to now, okay, working through all the videos up to this stage, means that you have got the power in you to do this. And I need you to recognize that. Okay, this is your gift to you, and there's a lot to learn, but it is when you master this, oh boy, your life is going to be so different. Every single person that I have taught boundaries to, and when they apply it, they can't believe the reaction that they get. They can't believe. Can I actually say this? Yes, you can. Can I actually do this? Yes, you can. Okay. Am I supposed to do this? Yes, you are. Okay. All of these things. And it becomes a big thing. Okay. One thing. So boundaries and boundary setting is a fundamental skill that every single person should learn. Boundaries is important in your life so that you can function properly in your life. Boundaries is especially important between you and your romantic partner. Because if there's no boundaries between you and your romantic partner, then you end up like that because of the wounding of the sexual abuse. When you've got boundaries in you and you understand boundaries, you don't go, you move from that and you move to that. And you move to an equal partnership between you and your partner. And that is called having a functional relationship as opposed to a dysfunctional relationship. Okay? So that's why boundaries are important. They're important for your survival, they're important for your growth, and they are important for you to have a proper, healthy, functioning relationships, and for you to be a proper, healthy, functioning person. Boundaries, because boundaries protect. The real purpose of boundaries is to protect your power, is to protect you, so that you do not give away your power and you do not allow other people to take away your power. That's the purpose of a boundary. And when you put boundaries in place with people, it is that they will then start to treat you with respect. And what is respect a subset of? Love. So how would you like to be treated in life? With love and respect. Okay? So this is the fundamental thing for you to learn to do, because when you do this and you use this God power of your I in you, you don't use it in a negative way or in a abusive way. You use it in a constructive way. And when you do this with others, it leads to healthy interactions. It leads to people treating you with respect. And so when they treat you with respect, then it is that you get stopped being treated like the doormat. Okay? The doormat, you're not supposed to be a doormat. You're supposed to be a live functioning person. Be like this. Be equal to your partner. That's how you're supposed to be. Okay. And it's only when you're like that, then you can have healthy relationships, but not just with your partner, with everybody around you. Whether it's the boss, or whether it's the minister, or whether it's the prime minister, or the state president, or the whatever it is, doesn't matter. You are equal to everybody on the planet. Yes, some people might have a senior position in this or that kind of organization, but that does not make you less than them. Okay, other thing. So I'd like to cast your mind back to the energetics of your body system that we spoke about, the three components that make you up, namely the feelings, the mental, and the spiritual part of you, and the spiritual journey of you. Boundary setting is about using all three of these parts in unison in a balanced, healthy way. Boundaries protect oneself and facilitates being treated in a respectful way, resulting in healthy relationships. Setting personal boundaries is to protect the self, or to protect the I from abuse of others. Boundary setting for me, ever since I was a child, it became a very natural process, and it was an unconscious process for me. And I really did not know what was boundary setting. So I soon had to sit down and try and discover, now, how am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And what is the constructive way to do this? And what is a destructive way to do this? And that's where I found out about, through my studies, about calling back my power and about being in my power and utilizing this power. And when I started to learn this and I started to use this in this constructive way, along, of course, with, because I melded this with the stuff that I studied, and then I found a way to actually put it across, that it is, it becomes easy to understand and easy to work with, another thing. So there are three primary areas that we must master to have healthier relationships with oneself and others. And these are the ability to set boundaries, to be emotionally or feelings honesty, to have an emotional honesty, to be able to speak about me and my feelings, and to have a feelings respond ability or responsibility. Okay, so when we understand our feelings and we can respond with our feelings as part of our boundary setting, so this would be something that, I feel really hurt when it is that you speak to me this way. But in order to be able to say I feel really hurt, I need to know that I am feeling hurt. I can't say is that, oh, I'm so disappointed in you in speaking this way, when it is I feel hurt, because then the other person is going to say, because of the energy interaction, what's going on here? Is this person trying to manipulate me or something? When you know what is going on here and you can include this in your your feelings or emotional respond ability. Okay, on a thing. Then it is your boundaries become very, very powerful. So the most important of these is your emotional responsibility or respondability. You must learn what is yours and yours to fix and what belongs to others. Okay, now the nice way about this is when I have a reaction, I can feel my reaction, then this is me and my reaction. When somebody else I'm talking to has a reaction, then this is them and their reaction. I don't have to worry about that one. I've got to worry about just mine, okay? And just me worrying about mine is going to keep me occupied long enough, believe you me, okay? Because there's lots of things for you to learn about that. So you must take responsibility to sort out yours. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And this is really important. Nobody is going to do it for you. You need to do it for yourself. You need to learn about these things for yourself. The second most important area is emotional honesty, and that is with yourself, no matter how painful, whatever it is. Okay, and this is where it is I talk about commandment number 11. And commandment number 11 states, "Thou shalt not bullshit thyself." So whatever it is that you're feeling, this is your honest feeling. This is what it is that you must do and use it and say it. Okay, so if it is a feeling, this is how you're feeling, you need to say it. Because if you don't say it, nobody around you is going to understand how you feel. But that demands honesty for you on yourself and then honesty in the relationship. Okay, whether it's romantic or whether it's anybody else, a friend or anybody, family member, whatever it is. So there must be no denial, no cover up, no ducking and diving, no running away from it, okay? No putting your head in the sand, no avoiding, nothing. Just straight looking in the eye and seeing it for what it is. From here, setting boundaries becomes so much easier. And you can see now what is yours and what is others' stuff. Remember, you're not responsible for others in any way. So all three of these are closely interrelated. We need to change our relationship with life and ourselves. This is vital to make any long-term changes in our relationships with ourselves and with others, and to interrelate with them in a healthy way. It is vital to learn to love, respect, and honor ourselves first. It's first me, love me, accept me, honor me, and then somebody else. If you make it, your focus is out on them, then it is you giving away your power to them, and then that results in you like this. Okay, other thing. So that we can awaken to the need to have boundaries and to set boundaries. If we cannot do this on ourselves, we have no hope of getting it right with others. Boundaries let other people know that they cannot take away our power or abuse us in some way, and that we deserve and demand respect in their interaction with us. Failure to do that will result in no further cooperation or interaction from us. If it continues, then we just leave. This is where we get up and we leave. Okay, we don't enter into an argument or a fight or anything else. We just get up and we leave. So if you carry on doing this, then I'm going to leave. If they carry on, then you say, I spoke to you about this, I'm now getting up and leaving. Nothing less is acceptable. We will be then treated with respect. We know that respect is a subset of love. We therefore demand to be treated with respect and love, pure and simple. Boundary setting just works this way. In my interaction with clients, they immediately understand when I say, what is so powerful and effective about the boundary setting process is, as we learn to apply it, it changes our core relationship with ourselves and others. When we have a more loving relationship with ourselves, everything changes as it fundamentally affects every area in our life. When we reach that stage, when we naturally set boundaries in place with others when required, we speak our truth, we be who we are, and we stand by our own right to be here and to be alive. We will naturally be treated with respect and dignity. It all starts with you. So, this process of teaching boundaries is preceded by discovering where and why you lost your power to others and what are your triggers. We must resolve these triggers first and then recall our power through this recall our power process, which is in the video that we just completed. In this process, we discover the inner eye of ourselves and how we lost it, and what happens when we call it back. Once done, we explain that boundary setting is about using the power of the I in you, the I in you, fully in a constructive way to protect yourself. Protecting yourself, in fact, is really, really loving yourself fully. Try and learn how to set boundaries and assert yourself without changing the core relationship within will ultimately not work for you personally or in any relationship you care most about or in any other relationship. It is relatively easy to start setting boundaries in relationships that don't mean much to you. However, it is in the relationship that mean the most to you that it is the most difficult. And this is why to put a boundary in place with your partner or with your mother or with your brother or with your sister, those that mean a lot to you, is an extremely difficult thing to do. But if you can master it there, you can do boundary setting anywhere. And this is because in those relationships, whether it's family or romantic, etc., that our inner child wounds or our tissues, our issues, okay, they come up. They are the most powerful and get triggered. Resolving the triggers removes the fear. Resolving these things, letting them go, removes the fear of you putting a boundary in place, okay? The little child within us may not feel worthy, could feel detective or perhaps shameful, and is terrified of setting boundaries for fear that everyone will leave or not love them or reject them and or maybe abandon them. Sometimes they feel that they have to please or they have to protect or be responsible for, or just be the doormat. Because, I was always treated like the doormat. If I refuse to be treated like the doormat, then it is they may not want me to be around, okay? Or to be abused, or to be used, or to be controlled, or to allow yourself to be manipulated, etc., etc., etc. And so the list goes on and on. There is a long list of things that can happen with you to lose your power. The other extreme of this phenomena is when it is that we throw up huge walls, the barriers. This is the wall between us and others, okay? And this becomes our barrier. And sometimes this thing is 3 meters deep and 50 meters high. Okay, this is the kind of protection mechanism that we use around us. And when it's so deep and there's this door and we've got this barrier between us and people will come up and say, Chanel, it is, I would like to have a relationship with you. And they knock on the door and they say, Chanel, Chanel. And here's Chanel 3 meters later and everything else. She doesn't hear anything. She doesn't see anything. She's cut off from people. Okay, one thing. And this is what, it's not just Chanel. This is what people do who have got boundaries. They got barriers in place, not boundaries. So we do this. When we do this, we sabotage the possibility of a relationship with us. And in particular, it starts to interfere when it is as that the relationship starts to become too intimate for comfort. Okay, now intimate is not necessarily physical, but it is as that, well, this person's getting a little bit close to me and my feelings, and they're starting to inquire about me, and I feel uncomfortable because I don't know how to respond to this. And so then it is, I now put this barrier in place, and then I isolate myself. Emphasis on the word ice. This is how it is that you freeze yourself. Okay, one thing. We subconsciously do this to protect the wounded child within from being hurt or the possibility of being hurt further. With boundaries, as in every area of the healing process, change starts with the awareness of self. One of my clients stated the following: I had to hear about boundaries and start learning the concept before I even realized I didn't have any. I had to start getting a small little glimmer of the idea of what boundaries are and how to set them in order to understand how hard they are for me to set. I also discovered how absolutely vital it is that I learn to love myself first before I can even understand why I need a boundary in the first place. I even struggled with the concept that I can, never mind supposed to put boundaries in place when my own boundaries have been transgressed. I thought that I just had to put up barriers in place to protect me. Keep people at a distance. Don't let them in, etc. Because that is the way that I thought that I should operate to get through life. It was natural to me. I was amazed that when I discovered that there is another way, but that is how it was. And now finding out just how effective they are, without using anger or antagonism. This is just amazing. So I want to do a quote here from, it's a quote about codependence from a book called The Dance of the Wounded Souls. It's a brilliant book. Boundaries defined limits. They mark off dividing lines. The purpose of a boundary is to make clear separations between different turf, different territory, between you and me. In relationships to recovery and the growth process, I'm going to be talking about two primary types of boundaries. Natural boundaries that are part of the way that life works, that are aligned to the reality of the rules that govern human dynamics, such as boundaries on a property and a personal boundary. The process of boundary setting teaches us how to take down the walls and to protect ourselves in healthy ways. By learning what are healthy boundaries and how to set them and how to defend them, it teaches us to be discerning in our choices, to ask for what we need, and to be assertive and loving in meeting our own needs. The purpose of having a boundary is to protect and take care of ourselves. We need to be able to tell other people when they are acting in ways that is not acceptable to us. At first, or a first step is starting to know that we have the right to protect and defend ourselves. We not only have a right, we have an obligation to protect ourselves and to look after ourselves. Because if it is we don't do this, we're not honoring and respecting ourselves. It is our God-given right that we have not only that right, but the duty to take responsibility for how we allow others to treat us. We need to start becoming aware of what healthy behavior and acceptable interaction dynamics looks like before we can start practicing them on ourselves and then on others, and demanding the proper treatment from others. Now, when I say demanding, I don't mean in an aggressive way, I mean in an assertive way, for you to protect yourself, okay? This is not about looking for arguments. This is about stating, this is what I won't allow. We need to start learning to how to be emotionally honest with ourselves, how to start owning our feelings, and how to communicate in a direct and honest manner with those feelings. Setting personal boundaries is a vital part of healthy relationships, which are not possible without any kind of feelings communication. The first thing that we need to learn is to communicate without blaming. That means stop saying things like, you make me so angry. You hurt me. You make me crazy. How could you do that to me after all I have done for you, etc., etc. These are our own personal reactions that kick in when a situation arises. These are your reactions. You need to learn what they are, and you need to learn to resolve them. I just want to talk a little bit about how boundaries should operate. Okay, so first of all, this is that we should have this ability to have heart-to-heart relationships with everybody around us, because it is we this is the center of our being. Okay, the heart. This is where it is how we must interact with people. And when we interact with people from our heart space, then our interaction becomes heartfelt. Okay, and when it's heartfelt, then it takes on heart and meaning. Now, I'm not talking about romantic relations, I'm talking about with everybody. With a romantic partner, this becomes a much deeper kind of heartfelt. Okay, so we need to be able to do this. When it is that we've got a barrier between me and you, it's impossible for me to have this heart-to-heart connection. Okay, one thing. So the way that boundaries should work is that it's something that is always down. When it is that you need it, you bring it up, you put your boundary in place. When it's done its job, you put it back down again. Okay, and then it's there. But the beauty of it is for you that you know that whenever I need it, it's there, and I can bring it up whenever I need it, and then I can put it back down again. And when I can do that, okay, it brings safety for me. It brings a knowingness that it is I can protect me at any time. And that is, the safety is the one thing that you guys need. This is one thing that you're always subconsciously looking for. When you can provide the safety for yourself, this is and truly a very, very empowering thing that you can do for you. So we know from the subconscious mind teaching that every reaction we have has got nothing to do with the person or the incident in front of us. It is our stuff, which are the issues or the tissues we took on about ourselves in some or other childhood event, whether it is sexual abuse or something else. Okay. And this has so warped our perspective on our ability to emotionally or feelingsly respond. We all went through life. Okay, this is not something that is that you guys own on your own. Every single person on the planet has got the same process, the same subconscious mind process. We all went through life and we all encountered various kinds of experiences where we unconsciously gave away our power. We took on wrong perceptions. We developed woundings of some sort. The wounding is the tissue, is the issue. There was nobody around at that time when you did this that could explain to you or had the insight or the understanding to impart to you what is the right way or what is the wrong way to do this. You somehow had to magically figure out what to do for yourself. Now, when you did this, based on the knowledge that you had at the time, okay, so if you did this, let's say at the age 5, or when it is that you were being abused, did you have any knowledge at the time about how to not give away your power or how to not behave this way, how not to be responsible for other people, them and their feelings? No, you didn't know anything. So this is what you thought, and you thought that this was the right way for you to do it. And you became convinced that this is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. This is what I have to do to protect myself. I had to put this thing in place. And so you did it. And then the more you did it, the more you did it, the more you realize that, this thing works in some way and it protects me. Not realizing that it is actually costing you. We cannot blame anybody else because those around us did not know either. For if they did, they would have taught you, and you would not be learning this right now. And this is important. It's important for you to have compassion on self, because it is you simply did not know. Or if I put it differently, you did not know that you did not know. And that is it. Okay? And then. So in the process, we had completely lost our I, that part of us that says, this is who I am. This is me, and that is you. And you are separate from me. I am responsible for me, and you are responsible for you. We had, in a sense, given away our power, or had given others the right for them to take away our power. We did this because we simply did not know any better. So, to understand when your boundaries have been transgressed is to check if there has been any personal cost to you in some way in this interaction between you and this person. Whether this cost is in your wallet, or whether this cost is in your personal energy, whether this cost is in your personal space, or your time, or that there's been some kind of depletion or belittling in some kind of heated exchange. Okay? As soon as there is a cost from any one of these, then you know that you and your boundaries has been transgressed. And it is time to put a boundary in place. This is such an important statement, this last paragraph that I've just given you. Okay, when it is that you feel that there is some way, okay, whether it has cost you money or it's cost you personal energy, space, time, or you've been belittled or put down or ignored or whatever it is in some kind of heated exchange. As soon as you've been through that, then you know that you have been, you've lost power, okay? I think very important. This is a classic example of our own internal boundaries being transgressed about ourselves. When we feel shameful about ourselves, it involves thinking that there is something wrong with whom we are. Guilt is another. And in my definition, it involves an incorrect behavior, while shame is about our being. Okay, so when it is that we feel guilty, this is about our behavior. When it is that we feel shameful, it's about, well, this event happened to me, and I feel shameful about this thing happening to me. Okay, so guilt is something when it is I did something wrong, or I made a mistake, or I am bad in some way. Shame is I am a mistake. Something is wrong with me. Okay, so that's guilt and that's shame. They're two different things. To be clear, when you were created way back in time, you were created by God or by the universe or by something. It depends on what your belief system. God does not make mistakes. It is us who has diminished ourselves in the process. This is our transgression of our own internal boundary. There can never, ever be anything wrong with you. It is simply impossible. Yes, there are probably things that it is that you need to learn. But if there is things that you need to learn, this does not make you a bad person because you don't know. It is that you simply don't know. Or what's more, you did not know that you don't know. Now you're learning about these things about me that I did not know. And so now it is, I can learn them. It does not make you shameful and it does not make you guilty in any way. And that's it. Now, regarding guilt, we've all made mistakes from time to time. And mistakes is a very important part of our growing up process. You know, if you look at, well, when we were all living in caves, how many houses were built before it is that we can live in the house or the flat or the apartment, whatever it is that you're living in now? And the answer to that is we had to build thousands of them, and they all fell down. And so through the process of falling down, we had to learn, what did we do wrong? How did we do wrong? And through the process of learning all those things of what we did wrong, we learned how to do it properly. And we will continue to make mistakes. And this is how we learn. And this is how education came about. Education is the culmination and the summation of knowledge gained from learning about our mistakes over time. Education is just a shortcut to help you from preventing mistakes to happen again. Education helps us to learn from others who have already made these mistakes. We do not need to feel guilty about learning education. By the same token, we don't have to feel guilty about making our mistakes. It's important for you to make mistakes so that you can learn from them. If we've made a mistake, take responsibility. Respond with your ability to learn. And learn from it and make restitution where necessary. And then you can move on. That's it. Period. There's nothing else to do, nothing else to feel guilty about. You made a mistake. Yes, I messed up. Okay, let's fix it. Let's move on. It's a mistake you made, move on. Okay? On an emotional level, the dance of recovery of shame is owning and honoring the emotional wounds, the belief systems, the tissues, so that we can release the grief energy, we can release the pain, we can release the rage, the terror, the shame that is driving us. That shame is toxic and it is not ours. This was not your fault when this happened. You happened to be in the wrong place at the right time. It was not your fault. There is nothing to be ashamed of. Shame often comes about when it is you were just little kids, just as our parents were little kids when they were wounded and shamed by their parents and their parents before them, etc., etc. The shame process gets passed on again and down, okay? This shame about being human has been passed down and down from generation to generation. You are a product of that passing on. There is no blame here, and there are no bad guys, only wounded souls and broken hearts and scrambled minds. We need to understand what this is and how to stop it. We need to love ourselves, respect ourselves, and treat ourselves with respect. In order to stop giving the toxic shame so much power, we must learn to detach from our own reactive process enough to start being able to set a boundary between being and behavior. So this is my being of who I am, but this little part is my behavior that is not proper, that is not right. That does not mean to say that all of me is bad. It just means that this part of my behavior is bad. The rest of me is wholesome and it is good. We must learn to detach from our own reactive process and to start to be able to set a boundary between being and behavior, which is what I just read. We must stop judging ourselves and other people based on behavior. We must learn how to observe behavior without making judgments about ourselves and others. There is a huge difference between judgment, in my definition, and observation. We can observe another person's behavior. We don't have to condone it. We don't have to overlook it or even accept it if it is unacceptable to us. It also does not mean we need to make a value judgment about them being based on their behavior, but just to accept they are behaving this way, for they do not know any better. If they did, they would not be acting out in this way. If you need to put a boundary in place, then do it, but don't judge it. This is compassion in action. Very important. Judgment is saying, that person is a jerk. Observation is saying, that person seems to be really full of anger, and I prefer not to be involved with them. When I use the term judge, I am talking about making judgments about our own or other people being based on their behavior or based on behavior. In other words, I did something bad and therefore I am a bad person. I made a mistake and therefore I am a mistake. Or I'm stupid, or I must carry the shame. That is what toxic shame is all about. Feeling that something is wrong about our being, that we are somehow defective because we inherited a status, or we have human drives, or a human weakness, or human imperfections. There may be behavior in which we have engaged in that we feel ashamed of, but that does not make us shameful beings. We need to make judgments about whether our behavior is healthy and appropriate or not. But what does not mean that we must judge our essential self, our being, because of this behavior. Our behavior has been dictated by our belief systems, by our childhood wounds, and it does not mean that we are bad or defective as beings. All it means that we are human and that we are wounded. And all of us are wounded in some way. We must all learn and grow and resolve our woundings. It is important for us to understand the difference between boundaries and barriers. Barriers are when we want to hide away from the world. We don't want to interact with the world due to some or other fear that we have, and we want to protect ourselves from being exposed. Barriers create walls around us. They cut us off from people. We become isolated. We are unable to develop a heart-to-heart contact with people. Boundaries, on the other hand, are about having an open heart that enables us to have the heart-to-heart connections with others. This is what I spoke about earlier on. It is about being present and remaining there. It is about protecting ourselves by putting the boundary in place in the moment when someone wants to abuse us in some way. We set a firm boundary with the person and we stop further abuse from taking place. When the job is done, we can relax our boundary and it allows us then to continue heart-to-heart relationships. With healthy boundaries in place, we can freely interact with the world, knowing that we can put a boundary in place whenever the need arises. This gives us great freedom to be ourselves, to be present in every aspect of who we are. When we set a boundary with anyone, it's important to know that when you do this, they cannot take your energy. That person with whom you have placed the boundary on automatically, and they are hardwired this way, okay? And there's nothing that you can do about it. It is an automatic reaction in you, an automatic reaction with other people that you're interacting with. It automatically generates respect for you, whether they like it or not. They can't help it. They and we all are just hardwired this way. It is a natural, built-in reaction. They may then choose to override it with another harmful behavior. But that respect is still there. If you keep applying boundaries with that person, they will eventually be forced to treat you with respect. And this is our ultimate goal. It is also important to set a boundary between you as a being and your own behavior. All humans have an equal divine value as beings, no matter what our behavior. Our behavior, on the other hand, is learned and or reactive to physical or physiological conditions from our growing up years. We must differentiate between being and our behavior. That's what I said earlier. That's our being. This is our behavior. Okay, so if our behavior is that I'm hooked on drugs, then this is the hooked on drugs. It does not make all of me a bad person. It is that I'm hooked on drugs. This is the part that I need to resolve in me. Okay, hunting. Our learned behavior and attitude dictate our behavior. They are learned and adopted defenses designed to allow us to survive in the hostile, emotionally repressive, dysfunctional environments into which we were born. So this brings an end to the first part of our setting of boundaries and understanding boundaries. And Chanel, you listen to all of this. What is your comments on this?
I'm excited to use all of these empowerment skills and to put boundaries in place. I'm very excited to learn how to do that because I want to empower myself and be present and be me. I can't wait to learn how to do that. I'm very, very, very excited, and thanks for your time, Peter. I really appreciate it.
Is there any comment on all the stuff that I went through, that I spoke to about shame or guilt or anything? Is there anything I need to clarify on that? Was it clear enough? Was it?
Yes, all these feelings that yeah, becoming aware of your feelings and that they shouldn't control you. And I always thought that it's about how other people makes me feel, but I needed to know and understand and learn that I are responsible for how other people treat me. To become aware of all these things is a big responsibility, and it's a learning curve. And to empower yourself like this is a must, and it's such a great opportunity to start to do that, and to repeat all of this. You become aware, you know it, you hear it, you become aware of it, and then there's a sense of knowing, and then forgetting, ignoring, and then coming back to them because you know you need them, and then you take it on, and then you learn them with desperation, and you fake it till you make it, even if it feels that it's not a boundary, but it's going to form, it's going to become. Don't give up on yourself. I'm really happy to be here and learn this with you. This is a big journey for me, Peter, and for everybody else as well. Don't give up on yourself, and don't be too hard on yourself with this. You feel like, oh yes, thanks Peter for another big tin of worms I need to eat. But you know what? Get up and look at these videos. Don't ignore them. Don't ignore yourself. Empower yourself. Don't give up, because it's not nice to dig up all these woundings and issues and tissues. It's not a joke. But don't give up. Don't you dare put this video off. Break it through. It's worth it. It is so worth it. It changes your relationship. It changes you. It changes your life. So thank yourself today for making time for yourself and empowering yourself.
Thank you, Chanel. It's amazing how much there is to learn that comes out of sexual abuse, isn't there?
Yes.
It's huge. Okay, there's lots and lots to learn. Okay, boundaries is the big thing. The next big thing that we're going to get to is understanding feelings, and that's a big subject on its own. Okay, one thing. Each of these are big aspects to work. Those of you that have listened to this all the way through, if you didn't understand it, please play the video again. Okay, until you get to the stage that you fully understand what this is about. And don't feel ashamed if you didn't get it, because there are many who don't get it. And there are many that I have spoken to and many clients I've worked with that it is I need to address it again and again until finally the penny goes clink and they say, oh, is that what you mean? What is that? Okay, other thing. And so it happens with many. If you got it the first time, fabulous. If you didn't, work through it again until you get it. It is important. Chanel, thank you so much for your time. I really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Bye.
Bye.